All right, so homework 38 starts off with creating an inconsistent system of linear equations. And if they're inconsistent, that means we have lines that are parallel because they don't cross and don't have a solution. So if my two lines are going to be parallel, they have to have the same slope. So what they're going to have you do is put it in slope-intercept form so you can then compare the two slopes. So I'm just going to rearrange both of these and solve them for y. So top one, negative 9y would equal, if I move my x over, it's going to be negative dx plus 4. Then, of course, I've got to divide by my negative 9. And so y is going to equal, I've got a negative over a negative, so that makes that a positive d over 9x. And then a positive over a negative, so minus 4 ninths. Then I'm going to go ahead and solve that second equation for y also, which doesn't have any weird variables, but just go ahead and rearrange it. So negative 15y is going to equal a positive 20x minus 17. If I divide by my negative 15, y is going to equal, I can reduce that down, so negative 4/3 x plus 17/15. So once we have them both in slope-intercept form, then what they're going to do is set the slopes equal to each other so you can solve for your variable. So d over 9 should equal negative 4/3. I'm going to put the negative on top with the 4, and then I can cross multiply. So 3d equals negative 36, and if I divide by 3, d would have to be negative 12. So if this was negative 12x minus 9y equals 4, it would be parallel to negative 20x minus 15y equals 17. So the second one there, again, we want to go ahead and rearrange those so they're both solved for y. So if we do the top equation, what would we do?
Subtract your 10x.
Subtract my 10x. So cy equals negative 10x minus 10. And then divide by my c. So y is going to equal negative 10 over c. X minus 10 over c is where does that look? The bottom equation, it doesn't look like they changed that much from number 1. If I solve that one, I'm going to have 12y equals, and on the other side I would get
15x minus 17.
15x minus 17. I then divide by my 12, so y equals 5/4 because I can reduce it down. You could leave it 15/12, but then your numbers are bigger, so I like to reduce it down. So 5/4 x minus 17/12. So now that I have my lines in slope-intercept form, I can set the slopes equal to each other. So negative 10 over c would be equal to 5/4. And so if we cross multiply that to solve that, we would get
5c equals negative 40.
5c equals negative 40, and dividing by 5, c is going to equal negative 8 then, right? And the third one there, if we rearrange that top equation for y, 8y would equal
Negative 6x minus 5.
6x minus 5, dividing by our 8, we then get negative 3/4 x minus 5/8. On our bottom equation, negative 20y is going to equal
dx plus 1.
Negative bx plus 12, we're going to divide by negative 20. So y equals
dx over 20 plus negative 3/4.
so negative 3, you divided by 4, right?
Oh, yeah.
Fifths then, right?
Yep.
Negative 3/5. Not that that would make a difference on this one, but we'll do some later where we will have to make sure we get that number right. So again, we want to set our slopes equal to each other. So b over 20 has to equal negative 3/4. So if we cross multiply and solve that, we would get 4b equals negative 60. And when you divide by 4, your answer is going to be
Negative 15.
negative 15.